Welcome to Quality Land, where we explore the principles of test design techniques through our exciting attractions. In this video we are going to talk about the process cycle test with path coverage, what it is, how it works and what the benefits of it would be. Before we jump into the process cycle test, let's go back a notch and explain what path coverage is. Path coverage is part of the group of process-oriented test design techniques and is used to test a system or process with multiple paths and decision points. Testing these systems and processes can be challenging, because every decision influences which path will be taken. In path coverage, different coverage levels are possible. In a test strategy, you can describe which coverage level is needed, based on the quality risks. In general, we use two levels of coverage, known as Test Depth Level 1 and Test Depth Level 2. Now, let's move on to the Process Cycle Test, or PCT. PCT is used to test the business process flow in a system making use of path coverage. Design your test cases by following these steps. First, identify the paths, then create test situations, and finally combine these test situations into test cases. Let's zoom in to the different steps. Step 1. Identify all paths, decision points, and start and end points in your process. Use an existing process flow or, when this is not available, create a simple flowchart with the above-mentioned elements. Step 2. Create test situations using the paths and decision points. Depending on the quality risk level, you decide to use Test Depth Level 1, also known as TDL1, or Test Depth Level 2, TDL2. The different levels of coverage will be explained with a practical example later. Step 3. Combine these test situations into test cases and determine the expected result. Now that we know how the PCT works in theory, let's explain the process cycle test step by step, by looking at the park entry system of QualityLand. To enter the park, some rules apply. Per time slot of 15 minutes, only 100 visitors can enter the park. A visitor can have a VIP status, which is a trusted status that allows them to skip the security check. A visitor can be blacklisted, which denies them access to the park. To apply the process cycle test, you need a process flow diagram. This diagram includes a starting point, an end point, and decision points. For the park entry system, we just explained, the process flow diagram looks like this. Using the process flow diagram, identify the decision points with letters and the paths with numbers. Also omit all other symbols in the process flow diagram. It makes the diagram easier to comprehend. It looks like this. How do you create logical and physical test cases based on this diagram? For ease of use, we are filling in the template which can be downloaded from tmap.net. There are two different coverage levels for creating test cases. Let's start with Test Depth Level 1, or TDL1, which requires each path to have been traveled at least once. Start from the beginning and continue through each decision point. TDL1 means every path is a test situation. That would look like this. The start has path 1 as an outgoing path. Decision point A has paths 2 and 3 as outgoing paths. Decision point B has paths 4 and 5 as outgoing paths. Decision point C has paths 6 and 7 as outgoing paths. The next step is to create one or more test cases by combining the test situations, in such a way that every test case begins at start and stops at end. For TDL1, the logical test cases are 1, 2, 4, which results in entry granted and visitor can skip the line. 1, 3, 2, 5, 6, which results in entry granted and visitor waits in line. 1, 2, 5, 7, which results in entry is not granted. The logical test cases can then be translated into physical test cases. Here's the physical description of test case 2. 1. Visitor wants to enter QualityLand. 2. 100 visitors have already entered the park in the past 15 minutes. Wait for the next slot. 3. Visitor does not have VIP status. Wait in line for security check. 4. Security confirms that visitor is not blacklisted. 5. Visitor has to wait in line to enter the park. 6. Add 1 to the number of visitors that entered in the past 15 minutes. By creating logical and physical test cases, You ensure that all test situations are covered. Now let's look at Test Depth Level 2, or TDL2 in short. In TDL2, for each decision point, every combination of each incoming path with each outgoing path is a test situation. For decision point A, paths 1 and 3 are incoming and paths 2 and 3 are outgoing. For decision point B, path 2 is incoming and paths 4 and 5 are outgoing. For decision point C, path 5 is incoming and paths 6 and 7 are outgoing. Possible path combinations for decision point A are 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 3 to 2, and 3 to 3. Possible path combinations for decision point B are 2 to 4 and 2 to 5. Possible path combinations for decision point C are 5 to 6 and 5 to 7. Now, same as with TDL1, we can create test cases by combining the test situations in such a way that every test case begins at start and stops at end. For TDL2, the logical test cases are 1, 2, 4, which results in entry granted and visitor can skip the line. 1, 3, 2, 5, 6, which results in entry granted and visitor has to wait in line. 1, 3, 3, 2, 5, 7, which results in entry is not granted. For extra confidence, make sure every loop is exercised 0, 1, and multiple times. This may require extra test cases. In our case, we already exercised the loop 0 times, not through the loop, in test case 1, 1 time through the loop in test case 2, and multiple times through the loop in test case 3, so creating extra test cases is not necessary here. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of a process cycle test and path coverage? Advantages are, 1. The process cycle test gives a tester the opportunity to cover all paths or path combinations in a system. This means every potential path or path combination is checked and the risk of the system working in a wrong way is covered. 2. You can create a few long or many short test cases, depending on what takes priority. DevOps teams might want many short test cases to debug failures quickly, while business people might want a few long test cases to ensure the whole business process works. Disadvantages are, 1. The expected outcome of the process cycle test needs to be determined by the tester, because the technique does not necessarily show the expected outcome. 2. The process cycle test does not consider the conditions that are in the decisions. It only considers the possible resulting paths. If the conditions are significant, then a test design technique from the coverage group condition-oriented test design should be selected. This was a brief explanation of path testing and the process cycle test. We trust you have learned what the technique is and how you can apply it during your testing work. For more information, or viewing the template used in this video, be sure to visit tmap.net.